Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. In today's video, we are taking a look at our progress towards opening up space for the new layouts that we are adding to the Lego room. The first layout is going to be added up around the ceiling part of the Lego room. And the second area that we are expanding into is underneath the main table layout. Really excited about these new spaces and the opportunities they are going to give us for some really cool track and additional areas for us to run our trains. So let's dive in and start taking a look at our progress in these areas and talk about the wood and various other accessories and support things that are coming into the Lego room over the next little bit to facilitate these new portions of our layout. So first off, looking at the main layout in the Lego room here, this is really starting to reach the maximum, of what we can contain in it. Obviously, still city work that we're doing, industrial work, etc. But in terms of track, we are pretty much maxed out. And, I really want the ability to run additional trains around the room. And that's where these other two layouts come in. They'll give us a place to showcase and run additional trains, as well as, the opportunity to add additional mills modules with city buildings, castles, industry buildings, etc. So that's kind of the goal or the reason behind these additional layouts that we are adding to the room. And the first big one that we'll talk about today is the ceiling layout. So the idea is to have a train track, two train tracks actually, that are running around a good chunk of the room here in the Lego room. You'll notice that on top of our bookcases here, we've cleared that all off in preparation for some wood to start coming in and going up there, which will be the foundation for the tracks to go on top of. You'll also notice that we've got a new shelf put in down there. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but really happy to have opened up the space up there for the track foundation and track to start going in. In terms of layout and sort of route that the track will take around the room, the starting point for the track will be over here on top of the bookcases, and then it will run down towards the corner over there, at which point we will turn into a straightaway down the upper part of that wall over there. I'm still a little torn on whether I want the track to just head across the gap there to the far wall, or whether I want to do turn, 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 and have it just follow the outer edge of the wall. That's my initial assumption and plan, is that we'll just have it follow that wall and go all around the exterior there. But still thinking about it a little bit. I think that's really the best sort of path through there for it to follow. Then it will carry along above the Acro Mills containers there and pass in front of the window. So it'll pass across in front of the window here, and it'll get to that corner, turn there, turn again, and then it will return to the bookcase area via the bulkhead across the middle of the room there. I really like the idea of it going there. I think it's nice to have it contained to this half of the room rather than crossing the doorways to either our office or the stairway. I think coming across that bulkhead will be nice. I think we can do some interesting things there with hanging the track from the track slash wood for the base of the track, hanging that underneath the bulkhead there. Should look pretty cool to see the trains moving across that gap. And then it'll return back over here and connect up with the track on the bookcase again. In terms of type of track that I'm running there, like I mentioned, the plan is to have 2 sets of tracks similar to the main line here on our tabletop. We'll have 2 sets of track. I'm planning on using R104 and R120 curved track pieces so that we can theoretically run any of our trains up there around the room. I think that'll be better. It'll give us more options and more flexibility with what we want to run up there. And I like the idea of having the double set of track. I think that, just maximizing the capabilities of what we can do up there. In terms of sort of location of the track, my plan is to raise it up a little bit higher than the tops of the bookcase there. I need to come up with a final number for how high up the wall it's going to be, but in the end it's just going to be on top of. So this shelf here is pretty representative of the wood that I'm looking to use for the underneath part of the track that will loop the entire room. Looking at 11 to 12 inches across, that'll give us a nice coverage for 2 tracks to run down. I'm not planning on using mills for this. It'll just be straight track, no ballast. I don't think it's going to be worth it, at least in the short term, to try using mills up here. I think it'll just be an extra expense that you can't really see when you are standing down on the floor in the room looking up at the track. Nothing's stopping me from doing that later, but I think in terms of trying to get things up and running, the best path initially will just be to have the regular track all laid out around on these pieces of wood. I think that my corner pieces are going to have to be a little bit wider to support the radius of the curves going around each corner and to make sure there's enough surface area on the shelf for the curves to completely go around in a normal way and have support underneath them. So that's the plan in terms of wood. So I'll be picking up a number of these pieces here. Haven't decided yet on the brackets that I'm going to use underneath. A couple different options that I'll look at there. But I think that this will give us a really nice look in terms of the amount of track that we can run. I really like the idea of doing the larger radius curves so that we've got maximum number of trains that we can run from our collection on this upper track. And how far up the wall there the track is located will be kind of determined by a couple of things. I want to make sure that I've got enough clearance under the bulkhead to have any one of our trains run up there. So we need to have enough clearance for trains coming through. I do want to leave enough room there so that if we decide to go back at a later date and switch everything over to mills, that would work as well and won't cause any issues when you add the height of the mills modules to the maximum height of the train. So that'll give us our number for how far up or how far down that the track will be located. I also don't want to I don't want to have the distance between the track here on this bulkhead. So the wood hanging down from the bulkhead, I don't want it to hang down any lower than it has to. So we'll find out the sort of the magic number that works for all those different scenarios, but it will be up off of the bookcases there. It won't be right on top of the bookcase, and we'll just fine tune the exact location as we start to put things up and calculate out how everything will work. But overall, I think it's going to be really amazing to have the train track running around the entire upper area of the main part of the Lego room here. Love the fact that we can have 2 tracks running side by side. In addition to using the bigger radius curves, also going to look at putting at least one crossover in there to give us some interesting things with being able to move trains back and forth between the different tracks. I could definitely see, I would probably locate it over here. This is the spot where I imagine I will ideally want to interact with the trains for the most part in terms of turning battery packs on, moving trains up and down from, the upper layout to the main layout and back up again. So that's going to be kind of the ideal spot. We'll have a spot over there where it's easy to step up and interact with the track. Obviously, there's the potential when you're dealing with trains up on an upper level like that for them to theoretically run into an issue at any point around the room. But, we can get the train anywhere it happens to stop. I just want to make sure that the spot that I'm interacting with them the most is relatively accessible. And I think that that bookcase area there will probably fit that bill. I could also see, maybe setting up a spot over here where I could easily step up and get to trains up on the track as well. So, overall, really excited about the potential of this overhead track. Having another 2 sets of track running around the room that we can have trains actively running around is really cool. And, I think this is going to add a lot to the room. And it should all be high enough up that it's still accessible, but I won't have to worry about it making the room feel too cramped or impeding my own movement around the room. So I think it should give us the best of all the different worlds and scenarios there. When it comes to the track that we will use for the ceiling layout and the underneath table layout, my plan is to try to use up some of the reserve track that we currently have. We've got a large number of straight track pieces as well as quite a few curve, 104, 120 curved track that I would like to get, sort of use up and utilize in places where it makes sense. So we'll be kind of going through the track that we already have, trying to free up some of our storage containers, and then based on how things are going, we will pick up any additional track that we need to finish off these layouts. But it'll be nice to take advantage of track that we currently have that we aren't using anywhere as a first sort of line of defense when going through and putting together these layouts. And it'll be nice to get a few of these bins emptied out and free for other projects that we are working on. So that's the plan currently. I think that'll be fine for getting everything started, and then we will add track as needed to finish off both of these layouts. Now, in terms of the underneath table layout area, not quite as much that you're going to be able to notice for that yet. I have been doing some cleanup work underneath the tables, but still a number of boxes and parts, etc., that are underneath here that need to be moved around, cleaned up, etc., to really open up this space. But the two areas that I'm going to be starting with for track, we've got this area here, which is underneath the Eiffel Tower end of the table layout. This is where we're going to be getting our holiday builds. So everything sort of winter themed is going to live over here. So we'll be adding in a table surface here. We'll be adding in some 2x4s with a flat table surface to build out this section, and that will connect into the first part of the main layout loop for the underneath part, which will be over here. Like to get these two sections done sooner rather than later so that we can start to open up some other space in the Lego room. I want to bring all the winter holiday builds down and start getting them set up in here. And I would like to get the our Junction light module, which we have in pieces around different parts of the layout. I'd like to get that set up over here as well. So getting these parts of the underneath table layout set up will really help open up some space for us that we can use for other things that we're working on around the layout. So I'll be continuing to move things out of here and to tidy this area up. But expect these areas to start to take shape soon. I also want to be probably putting some initial bridges over on this part of the layout as well. You may have seen our bridge prototypes in one of our recent videos. We're going to be working on getting parts together for that, and those will go into the underneath layout initially as well. Although if I can find some other interesting spots to put them in, I will consider that as well. One thing I was considering is, in order to keep the window or window access clear and available, would be to have two of our lift out bridges in front of that window area there. I think it would be really cool to see the lift out bridges up in the air, and they would, it would be a good workable spot for them. It would give us some extra flexibility there. So like I said, I don't want to do mills initially for the upper ceiling layout, but those lift out bridges do require some mills framework. So some questions to answer, but that could be one spot that we work the lift out bridges into that could be interesting up there. But still work to be done for clearing this part of the Lego room out, but that'll be happening over the next couple of weeks here to free up this part so we can start to build that initial table structure under here for the lower layout. So lots of work ahead, but really excited about these two track projects. I think they're going to add a lot to the layout areas in the room here, as well as just the overall room itself. It's going to be really cool to see more trains running, and this should also open up some interesting opportunities for displaying trains and other builds around the room. So can't wait to get started. The first section of track and sort of wood that you're going to see going in will be along this section here and probably that corner, just to do a proof of concept, make sure all the issues are ironed out before we start moving around the entire room. But really looking forward to getting that in place, starting to be able to run trains up there. And I think it'll be fun to show you guys our progress as we move through that project. A lot of big projects going on around the Lego room. We've got some other videos in the pipeline to showcase some of the other work that we're doing at the moment. But these track projects are going to be a really big area of focus for us over the next little while. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.